guys, Mick here. Hope you enjoyed the little bit of fun at the start there. Today's video is going to be a little bit different. I'm not going to do a lot of talking while I'm walking around. Instead, I'm going to do it most as a voiceover once I get back home. So, I'm at the old Morisset Ward 21, also known as the Crim ward. Now, this place used to house some of Australia's worst mentally insane criminals. I'm not just talking about, you know, loonies that end up in a mental hospital. This is some of the worst murderers and rapists and things like that that ever lived in our land. Some of which would still be alive in different hospitals. I think Long Bay took a lot of them, but I'll confirm some of this stuff later. But yeah, this was home to some of the worst criminals in the world. It's out at Morisset. It's a very popular area with four-wheel drivers, and unfortunately a very popular area with people dumping rubbish. So I did on my original 5-minute yarns pigs in the bush video, was about based in particular on a vehicle that was trashed out here after the owner got himself stuck and rubbish that was dumped out here. You're going to see plenty of that today. You've already seen some of it on the video on the way in, so I thought I'd have a bit of a play on the way in. You can do it much easier, but I had a little bit of fun with it. Alright, so I'm going to lock the car up. I'm going to take you for a walk around the ward, and then we'll go for a drive around the outside, and I'll show you some of the outbuildings and that were here as well. It's believed that there was a church and there were administration buildings and things like that here. So I'll try and also find some photos of what this place looked like before it was destroyed. So, alright, stay with me guys and we'll go for a walk. Cheers. Alright guys, so this is the Morisset Ward. This I'm assuming would have been a reasonably large grassed rec area or something. That would have been the main entry gate or one of. I guess that's probably trade vehicles or something. And just outside there is actually paved road which heads down into the current hospital. The ward itself was made up of two main buildings. One you can see here, mostly destroyed. Around, there's a little small one just here, which I'm guessing would have been an office building or something along those lines. And off to the right here will be the second. So we'll go for a walk through both of them, and I'll give you a bit of a look. I might come in from over near the main ward, the main entry. I'm swinging back around from where you just saw me filming. There was another entryway there. Now this had two smaller gates and then one larger gate. Would have been much more difficult for vehicles to get in and out of, but this was definitely a different gate there. Unfortunately, over recent months, people have been trying to pull down the pillars in between, so one of these days the whole thing is going to fall down on someone. You come out to a place like this, don't trash it please. Some of the history of here, if it hadn't have been destroyed like it has been, would have been really interesting to walk through all this. Alright, I'll get some new batteries because these ones are about to die apparently, and we'll go for a walk. Alright, so here we are at what I'd classify as the main entryway. One thing you will notice when you come in here, there is a very graffitied sign about asbestos and whatnot, so yeah, just be careful when you come out of here, don't go breaking things up and whatnot. So, and here's the ward. For the most part, this is what many of the inhabitants here would have seen when they came in here. It's about all they could see. As mentioned, just down that way there is a paved road. You can see some of the tarmac still here. It is pretty washed up. You're not allowed into the main hospital area anymore due to idiots shooting kangaroos with crossbows and tourists trying to feed them. Very big possibility we'll still come across a couple of roos out here. So you come in, you got a big parking area, so to speak, up the top there, which would have been a rec area or something along those lines. Big grassy area. Maybe they played a game of footy or something up there, who knows. And here were some of the cells. Now, looking at the way the plans have overgrown, I don't think we can actually get in through there anymore. So we'll go back in the way I normally go. So I'll head back up through here. And again, I don't want to sit here talking the whole way through this one. I want to do some voiceover so I can give you some information. Okay, so coming through this area here, obviously there's plenty of graffiti. Looks like it would have been showers or toilet blocks or something. The floor is pretty well gone. When you look through there, it would have all been toilets, showers, something along those lines. Not going to try and push through that, maybe not with a floor like that. If you come out here too, just make sure you wear some decent footwear and really watch your step. I'm not too sure what this building would have been. It does have a little fireplace, so maybe it was a little rec room or something. Maybe it was a staff room. There's a fireplace there originally. There are tiled areas there, so I'm assuming again something along the lines of toilets. So maybe this was a little staff lunchroom or something along those lines. Look at that beautiful car sitting over there.
Morisset Ward 21, also known as the Crim Ward, is part of the heritage-listed Morisset Psychiatric Hospital on the shores of Lake Macquarie. The land that the Crim Ward occupies is now owned by the Birrabeen Aboriginal Land Council after being handed back to them from the New South Wales Department of Health. Construction of the Morisset Hospital was approved in 1901 and started in 1906 with a staff of 3 male attendants and 6 patients living in tents on the grounds. I won't go into the full history of the hospital, as I'd like to focus on Ward 21. In 1930, land was set aside for a Crim ward, a hospital for the criminally insane. This was Australia's first prison to be set up specifically for criminally insane patients. Ward 21 commenced operation in 1933. At this time, the Morisset Hospital was home to around 670 men. The first female patients and staff arrived in March of 1933. In 1985, the hospital was divided into two separate entities, and the Psychiatric Services and Development Disability Wards 16, 18, 19 and 20 were closed. In 1991, Ward 21 was also closed, with wards 19 and 20 being demolished. A number of other wards have been closed since this time. Morisset Ward 21 has lots of different stories surrounding its practices and the history, and unfortunately, without spending days and weeks researching the hospital, it is not all that easy to find facts. There are, however, a couple of videos on YouTube of the hospitals, such as Inside Morisset, hosted by Mike Willisey, and The Untold Story of Ward 21, both of which I'll link below. The Inside Morisset video does show electroshock treatment being used to try and help some of the patients, and the hospital is said to have used a number of other controversial methods of treatment. One story I have heard, and this may be the same one mentioned in the Untold Story of Morisset, although it sounds a little different to the version I've heard it is. A nurse of the hospital retiring after a number of years working in Ward 21. He had befriended one of the patients who loved to spend his days in the market garden. Prior to leaving, this nurse gave the patients a pair of secateurs to use in the garden, and the inmate proceeded to stab and kill the nurse so he could never leave him. Another story mentioned in the Inside Morisset video is of an inmate escaping, terrorising and raping women of the town of Morisset before being recaptured and returned to the hospital. This escape apparently led to security levels being raised with the addition of higher or additional fencing around Ward 21. There have also been reports of patients being buried in unmarked graves in the bushland surrounding Ward 21. However, it is also claimed that these graves are actually in a nearby cemetery on Nintora Road in Morisset. I think that's how you pronounce the name. After the closure of Ward 21, some of the patients were moved to the new Kestrel unit, which I believe is a newer unit closer to the main hospital grounds, surrounded by barbed wire topped fences. This resembles more of a modern day jail. This unit apparently took advantage of CCTV systems to monitor patients, resulting in fewer staff, lower costs, and more staff being assaulted due to some patients hearing voices from electronic devices such as cameras. Other patients were transferred to a special unit formed at Long Bay Jail in Sydney. Access to the Morisset Hospital area has now been gated off, with access only being allowed to staff and those visiting patients. This is due to tourists entering the grounds and feeding the local kangaroos, which has led to a decline in their populations, as foods such as bread would not provide the nutritional benefits needed to help the animals. Attacks on visitors due to roos wanting more food has also happened. Access to Ward 21 is now easiest via Lara Pinter Drive at YE Point, however this soon may be closed off due to illegal dumping. Ward 21 provided a number of recreational activities for patients, with the inclusion of a swimming pool, tennis court, market gardens, soccer fields, and more. The Crim Ward is now a popular spot for a number of people, such as four-wheel drivers, history buffs, and people wanting to see something different. Unfortunately, the area has been largely demolished by vandals, as you can see in this video, and has become a popular dumping ground for people too tight to pay the local tip fees or to take advantage of the free curbside collection services offered by the local councils. It has also become a popular area with people burning out and dumping stolen vehicles. For this reason, I do hope the area is soon gated off, stopping access to those people that disrespect the land. Unfortunately, this will also stop access to those of us that do respect the land and respect the area. This is about all the information I can find without digging really deep into the history of the hospital and spending lots of time on research. I hope that you have enjoyed the video and learned some of the history behind Morisset Ward 21, home for the criminally insane.
Alright guys, that's it, I'm done out here. I'm not going to show you any more of the footage. I was planning to go for a run down to the dam and show you where they used to take water supply from for the ward and all that sort of stuff. But, you know, I started on the trip down there, and that ended up in another phone call to the reported illegal dumping folks and to the local police. So, yeah, I'm not going to go showing you all that because I want to end this on a higher note. So, anyway guys, that was Morisset Ward 21, was the home for the criminally insane. I hope you enjoyed a little bit of a history lesson and a bit of a look around the place. Remember, if you do come out here, please look after the place, take it easy, don't damage the things, don't go dumping your rubbish, take anything with you. In all honesty, this place behind me, it will be locked up pretty soon, and the way it's going, I hope it is. Alright, peace guys, take care, and I'll see you on the tracks.